Dr. Jeffrey King. I'm a physician. I've been practicing here in the San Joaquin Valley for about 30 years now. I graduated from MIT in 1974 and from the University of Vermont College of Medicine in 1978. I did an internship in Bakersfield and have been around the valley since then. I've been practicing here in Tulare since 1994. I practice general medicine, family practice. I basically have been interested in herbal medicine for a long time and began incorporating it into my practice 10 or 12 years ago. I went to a conference back at Columbia School of Medicine in New York, a week-long conference on herbal medicine in the mid-90s, and since then began actively trying to find ways of incorporating that into my practice. I began doing medical cannabis recommendations about 6 years ago and have been continuing to do that since then.
My name is Larry Metcalf. I'm 62. I'll be 62 in April. Well, I use medical marijuana because I've got cancer, and the treatment that I'm on is a Nexivar, which is orally taken twice a day, and it has really suppressed my appetite and given me upset stomach and stuff. And the marijuana, smoking the marijuana eases the upset stomach, the queasiness, and actually makes me feel a lot better. I've also got arthritis, osteoarthritis, and that helps the pain.
Stephen Engel, born and raised Madera, California. I've traveled since then, lived in Utah for a while, a few years, been overseas, traveled around, but I'm back in Madera again. I suffer from PTSD related to my war experience in Vietnam and extreme depression. I lost part of my hip. I have a steel hip in my right side that is painful at times, especially during winter. I have severe osteoarthritis, in particular joints that are very painful. And when I use medicinal marijuana, within a minute at the most, the pain has subsided substantially. A few more minutes, it's basically gone. And it also helps uplift me from out of the depression states that I fall into at times. And there's severe depression. You know. In fact, well, I won't give my therapist's name at the VA, but they can't recommend marijuana. But off the record, he has said this would be good to alleviate the depression. Otherwise, I'm taking about 8 medications from the VA and lots of side effects. And the side effects on this one is giving me the munchies for medicinal marijuana, and that's a nice side effect to have compared to the others.
Good morning, my name's Matt Henry. I'm a 100% disabled veteran with PTSD. When I was in the Marines, I was a boxer and I was training for the 1980 Olympics. I was also had a lot to do with Special Forces. And while I was in the Marines, I had my first experience with somebody dying next to me. So, which I have quite a story about that. But probably 12 times I've had to perform CPR because of my training of being in the Marine Corps and having to take those courses. And usually you're the only one that is capable of doing that. So I am completely fried with that after having my wife for 5 years having terminal cancer and having to do those same procedures on her. So I have a bad problem with post-traumatic stress disorder. I've been admitted to the VA hospital and all those things. About 8 or 9 months ago, my nephews, my son, and them tried to get me to smoke marijuana, and I was just opposed to it. I just thought it was another health fraud. But having been a grower and owning a nursery and being a forensic examiner to do with horticulture, I investigated the plant and I started to smoke it and those things, and it has helped with my other medication that I use to prepare me to go to sleep. Is oftentimes I'll go 4, 5, 6 days with no sleep. I end up in the mental hospital. But since I've been using cannabis, maybe 3/4 of that has been lessened. But it needs to be done properly, and you have to buy it for growers that know what they're doing. And there's not too many around, because most of the stuff that you can get is just crap off the streets, improperly grown, and you don't even know what species it is. There's 3 species of cannabis: ruderalis, indica, and sativa. I only want indica because that helps me sleep and blocks out my nightmares to a certain degree. So I can't get that on the street. You never know what you're going to get, and you don't know what they sprayed it with, or maybe you can use some other drugs on it. So I'd like to have a safe place to go that's safe for the community and for myself and other people to get good marijuana that helps.
Hi, good morning. My name is Richard Donald. I'm the chairman for the San Luis Obispo chapter of Americans for Safe Access. I wanted to come today and talk about some of the concerns that people are having and some of the findings of the planning department so far. Generally, we find that medical marijuana dispensaries actually lower crime in the surrounding area, but according to some studies. Most recently, there was a RAND report that came out that showed that when a dispensary in Los Angeles County was closed down, crime rates could spike as high as 59% in some areas. This report was later withdrawn, mostly because it only relied upon the data that came from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. It didn't also include data from the public, from local law enforcement. So we've seen that when these medical marijuana facilities open, that they don't really increase crime. Charlie Beck, the police chief of Los Angeles, stated that a bank was more likely to be robbed than a medical marijuana facility, and that when the accusation was made that don't these facilities increase crime, he said, well, that's the mantra, but so far the statistics really don't bear that out.
To begin with, I was using it mostly because I was losing so much weight. I had no appetite, and in fact, I was 88 pounds when I got my transplant. So if it hadn't been for that, I don't know what I would have done. But it helps with the lupus, the pain that I have in my joints. They prescribed pain medication, and I just have so many side effects with that. It didn't work for me. It's really made a difference in my life. I can sleep. I have insomnia too, so it helps with the insomnia. So I have several different reasons I use it. Yes, in fact, I was really relieved when I was able to finally visit a doctor and get a prescription and be able to come to a place like this. I'm just really glad that you guys are here. I come out here and I'm treated well, and I don't have to, deal with the other elements that are out there.
Hello, my name is Tammy Murray. I'm the director and CEO of Compassionate Cannabis Information Center. I founded this organization back in 2008 after several conversations with veterans throughout California at VA hospitals. I want to reach out not only to those veterans that I've heard so many stories from, but also anyone who is having difficulty with their current standard medications. We are a safe place that people can come and ask questions. There are different varieties of marijuana that are better for certain ailments than others. And you can feel like at home here. You can feel like you can talk to somebody about medications, about how they're affecting you and how it needs to work better in your life. I was prescribed indomethacin, and I was also prescribed cyclobenzaprine, 2 medications that my body had difficulty with, indeed. One causes constipation, diarrhea, dizziness, drowsiness, gas, headache, heartburn, nausea, and stomach upset. The other one, dizziness, drowsiness, dry mouth, fatigue, nausea, stomach pain, and stomach upset. These are precisely the harmful side effects I experienced. It is important that we look at marijuana as a serious and effective medication for post-traumatic stress disorder. We have the FDA now finally recognizing that there is some medicinal value with marijuana and the treatment for PTSD. I think this says volumes, and I think that we are finally coming around to a point where marijuana is seriously being looked at as a valued medicine. Let us not forget the amount of veterans that are coming back home very shortly, and let's be compassionate for those veterans and give them a choice of what medication that they need.
I'm inclined to support this application because I believe there is a bona fide need for this type of facility, and they can't be perfect. So I think that's basically where I'm trending.
Okay, so we have at least 3 votes. I'm hearing, Mr.